Jim, good evening to you. Nice and early tonight. Yeah, we're all good. Hope you are too. Hi Wendy. Hi Derek. Keith, good evening. I don't know what side of the fence you're on, Jim, but either congratulations or commiserations, whichever way it goes. Good evening, everybody. Good to be back. Looking forward to getting this one finished. We'll crack on shortly. A few more people gain and come in. No, I guess it's ongoing, controversially. Colin, good evening to you, sir. Well, I hope everybody's well. I hope everybody's had a grand weekend. I know I've been pretty busy myself. Some of it in the garden, some of it playing in my hobby. And some of it editing and filming and doing bits and pieces. How's Steve and Stuart doing, Jim? Do try and keep a tab of them, but they don't put posts out that often, so I'm not quite sure where they are and what they're doing. Wendy, we've got a new patron that's come on in the last few hours, which is good. Another American lady. I've had 2 American ladies in the last 48 hours. It's nice. Sue, good evening to you. Definitely playing with the choo-choos, Jim. Love them. I've been doing a little bit of scenic stuff, so it's all good stuff. It keeps me sane, I think, anyway. We shall see. I love it. Lots of fun. Right. Well, I suppose I had better crack on. Now, with this thinner board, of course, we can put the picture of me and the picture of the photo below it. And so you don't have to look at the Patreon sign in the middle. And there's a little bit more room here that we can mix. You'll see some of that. Unfortunately, you can't see all the colours. You're probably seeing half of the colour. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do. Stuart is back at work in Jacksonville. And Stevie is in Denver. And both are well and send their regards. I'll give my best to them. And had lots of fond memories with Steve, certainly. and that'll be great. Yeah, thanks. I'm glad they're well. Yeah, no problems, Wendy. I shall do that. Ben, good evening to you, sir. Right, I suppose less jabbering and a little bit more doing would be good. So I just want to make a slight correction to begin with, and I'm going to use a little bit of white and yellow mixed together to start this off. And I was looking at my thingy here, and it's predominantly in the right place, but I don't know, it just feels as though it's a little bit off on my picture. I don't know if it's just that the center needs to be brighter there, and I need to take out to some orange this way. I hear, Wendy, we're going to have some thunderstorms potentially tonight about 9 o'clock. Is that correct? You may know more than I do. I need that to come down through there and a nice glow, but it's too orangey, so I'm going to come back in with some yellow around that. I'm looking at all the images that I've got of this at the moment. Taking that out that way. Just wanted to make some adjustments to this moving down, going through there. And come back in with a strong whitish pigment there. It's going a little bit I think we're okay. Just want to make it blend out that side a little bit more. I'll keep my eye on that, see how I feel. Okay, that was with a small round brush. Now I've got several brushes out tonight. I have had to clean off of the palette, and I've got fresh colour out, which is always very, very useful. And I shall be using some quite thin filberts as well tonight. I quite like some of these. Now I'm just going to assess where I'm at with this, because that was annoying me and I needed to do something about that. So I'm just going to come back in. Did I just change that? I hope I didn't. I don't think I did. So where are you? That's what I'm looking for. Alright, so yeah, I'm going to come down here with some more colour in this lovely water that's coming down. I've got a nice piece of orange now. This is cadmium orange, and it's pretty much neat out of the tube. I'm going to put that with some yellow, cad yellow D. There's a bit of white crept in there. Let's get rid of that. Don't want that really. Just want to make this really nice and bright as it comes back up from there. And take that into, and I'm using, as I say, I'm using this lovely little filbert, and I'm going to come in with some strong oranges. Really lively bit of water around here, and the same on this side too. And that will go back in. Now what I have got to do, or what I am going to do that you won't be able to see, and that is that I've got a larger picture here right beside me, and you can see me moving the mouse trying to get it into place. I just want to try and sketch in. I'll leave that little filbert to one side. I've got a fairly thin rigorous type brush, and I just want to put some darks down, some blue and some umber, just so I can start to draw one or two of these vessels in, and as they're sitting on the side. So I'm going to take a few minutes just to put a few boaty shapes. Now I've got some fine detail liquid, which I need to bring a bit closer, and you can see it there in my pot. And that's actually a week and a half old, and all I've done is I've put a seal lid over the top of it. In fact, I'm putting a spare tin lid, you know, from my mixing colours, and I'm just putting that over the top of it at night and not being used, sort of thing, and it works jolly well, and it's kept it fresh all this time, so that's nice. And otherwise it just skin up, gets sticky, and just will not do what you want it to do. All right, so I'm going to put in, I've got this boat here, and I think I might make that a little bigger. It is a larger yacht, so I'm going to make that a little bigger, like so, and we're going to bring some of that this way, like that. Okay, first and foremost. And then there's a bit of light mud behind it, which has got a boat laying up it like so. We're going to put one in there. There's a little dark shapes for the moment, but we will change some of those moving forward. There are tons of boats on here. I don't propose to try and paint each and every one of them. There will be some omissions from this. I'm not too worried about that. Some of them are little dinghies sitting in the water. Others are larger, small yachts that are sitting down there, and they just become close together, very condensed as they move back along here. And all you're going to see are little taps of colour, little light, little highlights as these boats and these vessels all the way along through here, way back into it is just a lump of information that you can't even work out what it is. I can't, and no one else is going to be able to. So let's just put those in there. We're going to tap some oranges and reds while we're at it, and these are actually quite warm, these colours here, because there's that sort of corona or something from the sun there. So we're going to influence this colour here and make that blow away, or sort of fuse as it were, just a little lighter here. And I'm sort of desperate not to go mad with it, but I just want to fuse these two little edges together like so, something like that, because there is a lot of boat work down there, lots of boats, but you can't tell which is which or what is what. Okay, so I'm going to leave that pretty much. There's going to be one or two, maybe a few random dark marks coming across that could be suggestive of bits and pieces of bow and shape and form. You can't really tell, to be honest with you. There's just so many. And little bits of red, little bits of light here. And that is, I think, pretty much it. I'm going to come up now with some blue and some of that red and just suggest one or two masts. Now I'm looking to where they come up there, and actually I'm going to put that picture back to where it was, because my scales are getting a little bit off. So I'm going to look at this one, and I'm going to put maybe a mast down there, and then I'm going to put some more red in and make some of these masts that are way down here darker. They need to show up, but they're on that warm influence like so. Get a little bit darker as one or two come up this way. Okay. I'm not going to do too much more than that. This one has got a great big mast, and I will probably, if I can find it, use a straight edge. I have one a little smaller for this confined space. There we go. So I'm just going to put a little straight edge on there. I'm going to take my brush very carefully and put that nice line all the way down to there. Miss some of it, but you get the idea. I can reinforce that. Now I know where it's going, I can reinforce that. Take that down like so. And that gives a nice scale to some of these vessels that are moving down. There is a line from there which I will carefully put in place. And one this way. There we go. don't want to put too much information, and there's just really no need to. I'm going to come in. There is a nice reflection down through here with that one, and there is, I guess, I can't quite see. I'm guessing that there must be a boom on the back of this. I'm going to put one on anyway. Most yachts will have something like that with their sail all furled up, ready to go for their next trip. And I just want to change the back look of that. And I think that my vessel is a little too high here. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to alter that shape there. I'm going to take that out, put some of that red in. Very terracotta-y, this red, once it's mixed down. Right, now then, come back. Wendy messaged me then. I will do that, Ben. Good evening. I haven't heard, but I hope we get some. Yes, Glennis, good evening to you as well. Thanks for joining us. Nice to see you here. Now this boat has got a lot of umber, and I was hoping that, but what I'm going to do, it wants to be a very pale blue, and this will work nicely now because you've got this really dense, I mean this would be almost white, but because we've got this nice back colour of reds and warms, that this blue yacht will actually work for us. And I should also come up with a slightly bigger brush. This is a round. It's not one I would normally use for these jobs, but I started with it first thing, so I'm going to carry on at the moment. I think this sort of lovely reddish colour, or this blue, needs to be a bit darker with some red in it. That's what I meant to say. Take that through there and take it all the way down to the water line, like so. Now you can put a little more light into it, or warm light. You can actually put a little bit of that lovely pinky colour, just picking up some glows from places around the side there. Just gives that a lovely finish on the vessel. And this one is predominantly very dark, and we're going to leave that for the moment. I'm going to come back into the water, and I just want to suggest some of this blue into the edge of this boat. A little bit of white, a little bit of blue colour into the reflection here, not too much, like so. It's very, very stifled in terms of a colour, but there we go. I think that works, and it's got a yes, it's definitely got a nice piece of cabin on the front, which I have actually missed. So I need to come back into my big photo again just for a second and try and see how that works. Ah, okay, now I see what I'm doing. Right, so there is the canopy, and it's comes down very low, so I think my boat is just a little too deep. I'm going to leave it as it is, and I'm going to put in some of this bluish colour behind it, like so, which is some of the wet mud up into the bank there. That's okay. And then what I didn't realise when I first started it is that over here there is another boat, almost on its side. I'm going to put it like that, and it's got a cabin on top. Make it a little wider. Cabin on top, which has got a nice dark inside. Getting a bit wet with this paint, which is not helping. I put a dark inside, like so. And these tones are extremely shallow tones. You're not getting too much from them, but there's a little vessel there. And while I'm at it, I'm just going to clarify one or two of these. There's one here, one there, and we're going to put another one or two up in here, like so. Another boat there, and we've got that lovely orange reflection from this one. I'm going to bring it down, take that out there, and that just gives us that shape into the water. And I'm going to almost do that, almost. I'm going to come back through it again, but it sort of drags it down and away. A little bit with this one too, will not hurt. Just drag and stifle some of the edge so it becomes part of the water. This one, I somewhat did it last week, but we can do that again, it's not a problem. Do the same with this piece here, just influence that nice reflection. Come back in with some dark on that one. We can actually put some more blues in. Some of these yachts will be white going up there, although they just don't look it. I'm going to put a little bit of cooler values in one or two of these going back up there. And this is pretty important to get this part right. I mean, the rest of this will work very, very quickly, I hope, he says. But I just want to get as right as I can before we move forward with that. Alright, now I need to tap in some lights. And come in here with some orange, bit of white, bit of yellow. And just tap in one or two little lights of sort of portholes that are with the sun pushing through them. Just little bits of information that just give a little sense of realism. There's a little tap of light up in there, and maybe a bit of light catching the top of one of the little deck cabins or whatever they are. Start suggesting shapes and edges of boats. And right up in here, there is the edge of cabins. Just little bits of information. You can just about make them out. You don't want to bring too much importance to them, but you just want to know they're about there. And maybe put a little bit of something on one of these. Just looks like an edge there, something catching some beautiful light in there. I want to bring some of this light also. In danger of getting my colours way too wet, so being careful now. Make a separate pile, take some of this down, add some of these oranges in place, and just come back in and mess around with some of these as though the water is just pushing into some of these shapes, like so. Nice strong lights coming back out, and maybe punctuate one or two bits of light through the back here. Maybe you can just see a little bit of light in there. And maybe, oh, that's a little bit too light. Come back in, play around with that a bit more. Something like that. That lovely orange against that blue really just punches away. That's nice. I'll leave that like that. And I've got to bring... Actually, I've lost a little bit of the stern, so I'm going to come back in with some of that blue colour just to reinstate that. I lost a little bit there. Got a little bit carried away with that shape. So I'm just going to do that, just refine that shape a little more and out this way. There you go. Hopefully that'll do it. And I'm going to bring that in a little bit sooner. Okay, that's good. We're on target, I hope. No more in the chat. 12 watching. Where is everybody tonight? Good Lord. Numbers are down. Right, now then, let's just tap some more light into here and just blend that through. Make that a little bit more as though the sun really is blowing this out. Like that. There's a bit of lemon yellow right in the top there. Alright. Do a bit of blending at the top end. Contaminating that yellow white, unfortunately, so I need to address that. Come in and give that a real blast of light through there, and hopefully this time leave it alone. See what that does, see what I need to do with that in a little while, but I think I'm going to try and leave that as best I can before I mess it right up. Okay. So let us look at some of these colours, and they start getting a little duller, a little bluer as they come this way. Believe it or not, I'm going to introduce a little bit of cobalt blue, more white too, and try and show you the difference between the two. See, this has got the same orange texture to it, or the same orange colour to it, but it is a little less punchy than the orange that I have been using, but it's still lovely and orangey. I'm going to bring that all the way through there, and somewhere like that, just up to there, a little bit of light maybe punching around the front end and up the bank there. Let's just bring some of this down this way, around the side of the boat there, and the same sort of colours, the same sort of coolness starts coming down here, but it's not as the other one is. There's more yellow in it. So I'm going to put some more yellow in there in readiness. Let's bring some into some of this area, and we will work this area down in a little while, taking it all the way down to the muck in the bottom there. I'm scratching it now. I really am sort of laying it on and scratching it. More warmth, a bit more of that reddish colour coming in. I don't want to get too blue with the other oranges too soon. What I want to try and do is keep it as fresh until the last bit, and then just kill it where I want to kill it with some blues in it. I'm going to leave that to play around there. We're going to put some more of that reflections in a little while. I'll put that in a tap of blue again into the back end of this. Take that down, and let's get my other picture back. There we go. I can see what's happening here. And it does get quite bluish. I'm going to actually add a little bit more blue to that orangey colour, mixing it up so I get a mix that's orange, a little orangey blue, a little more blue to blue. And you've got that grade, so I can dive in and out of whichever one I want to use. I could be or should be using a bigger brush, to be honest. Now I'm going to come in with some richer orangey reds through here. That's beautiful. That just gives a lovely light. I'm going to have a couple of darts coming into that as I move forward. But then I'm going to come back to maybe this time I'm going to put some ultramarine blue into that red. Tap of white just to cool it down a little bit. See where that looks, maybe a bit more white. Just see, I don't want to lose the power. Too much white will lose the power. So I'm going to come in and try a little bit. No, it's going to go the wrong way. I'm sure that's going the wrong way. Maybe not. A little bit of phthalo blue went in, but it was the merest little touch. And I'm sort of scratching all these colours together. They're neither one nor the other, but together they influence how you perceive the colours in the water. A little bit of pure reddy colour went in then, maybe a little bit more of that orange come back into there, but it's predominantly that lovely blue, and you can see that blue popping through one or two places. We're going to use that to our advantage, at least I hope I am anyway. I just want to come back up in here. We haven't finished here yet. There is more information to come on, but I want to come back into that hillside in a minute, and in fact I might just do a bit of it now. You'll check that value needs to be a bit darker than that. There wants to be a little bit of Venetian red going into it. I want to keep it dark, but there you go. A little bit bluer, a little bit of cobalt into that, and that's better. That's where I want to take that. Just want to make that a little darker through there, so that it really pushes nicely against the sky, where it touches the sky, and just against that lovely blue colour. I felt that it wasn't dark enough on the top side of it, so I'm going to run that down, and it just loses out to the reds as it comes down here, so I'm going to put some more red into that, which we know it does. Be careful, I don't want to repaint all those masks and things. Just going to touch it in one or two places. There's a bit of an influence there. If I have to repaint a mask or two, it's not the end of the world. Right, I'm just going to bring that and gently put a little bit of light colour back into here. Just a bit cooler. And try and blend it a little bit more. And this is that mist that I was speaking about last week, where it rises up in the morning. Beautiful. Now that bank needs a little more attention, and although I painted it quite dark brown colour, I actually want to give it a little influence of phthalo blue and a bit of red, so we get a really dark dirty type of purple going on. I'm just going to bring that in, and I want to raise it up on this side here. Just gets a little bit of height to it there, and that works. Like so, and bring that down and let that just disappear into nothingness, as it were. Bits of information along the line of it, take it through there, and again it gets red, but I've already got it red, so I don't need to do any more to that. I just needed to make one or two little changes and suggestions, and that's all I need to do. Now there is going to be a little bit of light on that boat. It's a cool light, I discover. A little bit of light on there just to suggest that that boat is there. And I need to put in some cool lights, so some cobalt, a little bit of that red influence, but I want to brighten up this piece of the mud that's lighting up around the back of the yacht. A little bit of mud, not quite catching that sun, like so. Maybe a little influence through there. It goes up the bank and comes back this way. We're going to make it go that orange. We're going to meet that orange. Now I can't see too much of what's going on here. I think there are some more boats here, but I'm going to leave that as a bit of mud that is exposed at the moment. We're going to leave it like that, and we can maybe play with that as the last thing. What I do need to do is just put that dark back into that mask, which is gone. Put that back. There are a couple of windows like so, which we can see in the cabin area of this boat. There's probably lots of stuff on the boat that we can't see, we can't make things out, but I don't think we need to worry too much. That mask comes up a little higher, give that a little bit more, and where one or two of these have been lost, let's just put a few of those back in. Okay, leave that like that. Now I do need, and I saw it in the week when I was looking at this, that the church needs its nice little towers, and I've missed them. So I do apologise to Blakeney for missing the spire of the church towers, which does require me to build this church out just marginally more. There we go. And this one is a little taller than I had it to, like that, and there are just some one or two. They get a little bit redder actually, a little bit sooner. I think partly because I didn't make my son close enough to the actual church and this building. I'm not worried about that. I'm going to try and change it now, but it's, to me it's close enough and we can see where it is and what it's about. I'm just going to gently scumble over that bluish colour to get a sense of that glaze that's going down into the sun. And I'm going to do some more work, I think, as well. I think my son needs a little bit more building out here and here. It's amazing over, you know, you sit down and you look at your work and you look and you look and you look and you think, yeah, actually that's not quite right, we need to do some more on that. And you know, you just go back into it and refine a little bit more. I'm just looking at this glow from the sun and just trying to let that radiate out a little more than it was. But like I'm doing, you've got to be really careful. You just go and do too much. Just influencing the blue on the hills, giving it a bit more glow. There's a little bit of yellow in there. I'll get that back. Ooh, too much, too much. I told you, you go too far, too quickly, and you gotta push that out, get rid of that. Come back in with some more orange to compensate that. When you get so far into a painting, then progress can quite ultimately be quite slow. So you have to allow for that. Certainly in a stream, right, there are sort of, we've got to be treading a little more carefully. I just wanted to give this a bit more of a glow, and I kept looking at it. Quiet because I'm concentrating. I'm falling asleep, not yet. I'm going to look at that. I may come back and do some more, but I'm going to look at that. I quite like the way it is at the moment, so I'm going to stay there with that. Right, so where are we? I need to put some cooler marks on behind here just to bring out that beach and give me an edge to the edge of that yacht and the underneath of that boat there. So I'm going to put that in there, a little bit of light up there. Maybe just make a little bit more of something going around the front end of that bow and there. Leave that. I don't think it needs too much. You can overdo that very, very quickly. Now I'm going to use the same sort of colours though. I'm just going to come around here on these mud flats that are still exposed. They're a little bit on the greenish colour, so let's put a bit of blue in, maybe a bit of ultramarine blue, a bit of magenta just to keep it on the violet side, a bit more white, just mix it to taste, and then just start looking at some of the, you don't want to make it too bright, too light, and the colour you think is right but it's just not working. Did I ever seen Judy tonight? When is she on tonight? Or she got trouble logging on again? Right. Let's take this line of shoreline, as it were. I'm just tapping away, just not replacing all that colour that was there. I'm tapping away to suggest that there is some of that dark still popping through into light sources and this mud. Now, as I say, I don't know at this point in the painting whether or not the tide was going up or going down. I can't remember. I put a bit of warmth into some of this just about here. There is a good deal of warmth up in there. I just want to come in with some of that real strong colour and suggest there's going to be some lights and darks running through there like that, and we've got a strong bit of light into there. Just changing that. Oh, you haven't heard from her. Okay, I hope she's okay. Bit of dark, bit of phthalo blue, a little bit of burnt umber together. See how that looks. Too much of a blue influence, so let's come in with some red into that, some Cav red light. Just influence that back to a dark but warm colour. Maybe a little more, may even be a little bit of Venetian red in there, just to give it that sort of, yeah, the Venetian red did it. Just gives that a nice strong dark there. And I want to do some of that into some of this as well, because I think that this is getting quite influenced by that sun as it goes towards the source of the sun, or certainly into our distance. And a little bit more red in there as well. Too much, but let's just spread that out. Straight that down, tapping my finger as I go, just to influence those shapes way up in there and into there. And this is not because the land's, oh good lord, it's not because the land's turning red, I'm sure of that, but it's because the corona, that light, intense light from that sunshine is really just popping, really popping on any forms up in that area. So intense. Okay, a little bit of darks and lights in here as well, just to break that up. How are we doing? 12 still watching. Okay, let's look into some of these shapes here. I'm going to mix this between the warm and the cool. So there's going to be little suggestions of warmth in the faces of the edges of the banks as they come up in here. And they get very, very dark but very, very cool, I think, as they come back up here. So I'm going to mix some of that in. We made it quite violet last week. Well, that's quite cool in some ways, but we're going to go with a green dark now. And we're going to allow some of that violet to pop back in. And indeed, there's going to be a little bit of that red, maybe some Venetian red again, in some of these umbers, and just play around. So you've got a whole mix of 3 or 4 different colours going on Right, that's a little bit too light, bit ambitious. Come back down here with some of that, breaking down towards the water's edge, and same there. And it's very, very quick, spontaneous brush marks. I know roughly what I'm trying to achieve, but at the same time, I'm not trying to put perfect detail in. I'm just trying to mess up exactly what I'm looking at. Play around with it and see how the brush marks affect the look that I'm seeking. Taylor Blue's doing quite well. I've got to put those two posts in, so I'm going to put one in. I think that's where I left the marks for them. So actually I'm going to put them about there, so quite a thick one there, like so. And the other one is more upright, but say there. And I'm going to put the shape of this boat that's laying in the field. It's been hauled out many years ago, is rotting away on its side. It gets partially covered in water from time and once in a while. So I'm going to just look that as that comes down. I want to get that about right. The cabin and then the side of the boat going down like so. Okay, and there is another yacht hidden behind here because there is a mast there, but I am not going to put that in. I'm going to leave that out because it doesn't bring, you can't see the vessel behind there from this angle. I can maybe just see the side of it, but I don't think there's enough to, or is there? There I don't. I'm going to go and do it. I'm going to go and stick it in. There we go. It's sitting in here. I'm going to just put the edge of it in there, maybe a little higher, like so. And then I'm going to put in that colour. I'm going to bring in some dark underneath it. It comes out, so that's going to have to come out to mimic it. And then I have a good reason to put in the mast, which is, say, up here. Now you can quite happily use a straight edge, nothing wrong with doing that. Out in the field we all use our little straight edges to capture straight edges, believe it or not. And I'm going to bring that through there. There's that line coming down like so. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with using a straight edge. Okay, so there is a vessel there, but now I need to give it a little bit of highlight. So I'm going to give the side there as though it's got a little bit of light catching, and similarly underneath the reflection is going to have that light too. So I need to make something a little lighter in here to go into the back of it, so it's catching some light from the sun in there, and then we've got a nice bit of reflection, bank detail, a little bit of that, a little bit of light creeping into the edge of the bank there. Quite warm, quite orangey, quite dark in places, but you get these lovely touches of real warm, hot colours in there, and hopefully there too. Okay, so to that, in answer to that, I'm going to put in a little bit of bank dark, so we've got a little bit of dark coming back this way into some of this. Like that. Wish I hadn't done that. Another repair job. Play with that in a minute. Try and get that back to where it should be. Okay, Teresa, I'm late. I was painting a watercolor. Your live stream on is looking really good. Glad I caught it. Cheers, Teresa. Glad you're here. Alright, let's just try and put some life back into this part here. With that orange back in. Just some of the angles were not quite right, so I tried to touch it, but it was a little bit too much dirt on my finger to have done that. I should have been a bit more careful. There we are. I think that sort of brings that back into play. It's I still want a bit more light down the side of the reflection of that boat, and it's about there, and I'm not quite getting it where I want it. Pushed a lot of colour off with my finger to come back and replace some of that. Okay, quick blend and it's sorted. Now I need to just come back on the side of that boat. There you go. I think that's all it needs really. Take that into there and take that light, that dark edge out. There we go. I think that might just do the job. So to that I'm just going to put in a little shapes, not in the photo, just going to give it a little edge that suggests that there is a shape to it, and then a little bit over the back, giving that a bit of a stern. Works for me. Alright, now the top, this old Hulk up here has got a little bit of orange light in the light there. Not much, just enough. So we're pretty much done up in here. So I'm going to carry on down through here now. I'm going to carry on suggesting this mud. And it's getting a little cooler, maybe a little greener in places. Tap, drag, all these little things that you see me do. Just to give that a nice cooler light on here. No definite shapes or forms. Same through here, just the last of it as it's going around to the bend. I said there's other boats around the end and beyond. This goes all the way out to the sea. As it goes, it's a great big oxbow that goes all the way along here to Blakeney, which is over there somewhere. Well, there's the church. Then it goes all the way back out to Blakeney Point, and similarly this way it goes out as well. So yeah, it's really quite a lovely navigable tidal river, or inlet, estuary, whatever they're called. I'm going to come in here now. I'm going to shape this up as it is not quite right. Take that to there. Give that, it's got picked up some of its own lovely blue colours, which is good. Really pleased about that. And put some more of that together. And just take this all the way down. Now I've got a lot more water below the bank than the photograph is showing, but that's fine. Careful of my nice buoy sitting in the water there. Little tap around there. You can play around with that edge. It gets quite light and cool. And put a bit of blue to some of those orangey colours. See what this looks like. Not so bad, we can play around with that. Make it a little more orange, a little warmer as it comes out from there. A lot more yellows and orange in that. Still coming back to some of this blue colour, just to keep it in check. Once I get and see the whole thing, then I can start deciding if I need to push and pull any of those tones, because there's quite a bit of blue value that's running through this here. So I'm going to put in, it's almost where you've got a sense of the flow of the river. I think that nice business of the blues in amongst those oranges really work well. But I want to keep my blues more pure than I've got them, so I'm going to go in with some ultramarine, tap of yellow, tap of white, sorry, not yellow. I'm going to look at that and leave that on the side and just drag some one or two light pale blues in. The moment I put this to the orange, it's going to influence the colour straight away. Nothing I can do about that. I'm not trying to, I'm actually trying to make that work for me. Just one or two little bits of that blue working through these reflections through here, and then coming up the side of this estuary there. And I'll bring some for continuity through here. There's enough going on with that there that I don't need to worry too much, because now I can work on the orangey pinks coming back the other way, and we can put one or two in to suggest the flow. Just tapping now and using everything at my disposal, all the oranges, all the reds, all those beautiful light colours, just to play around and taps. This is why I'm using the round, or I could be using quite happily the little very long bristled filbert, which is a nice brush. It's one that Rosemary, I think's developed. I've not seen any other manufacturer use one or make one, but it's got some nice little taps and influence to the way that it just drops and leaves the colour. Still want to play around with that sun. I'm going to go back in there. I know I'm going to do some more to it, but we're not finished by that. Just going to bring some of that light through there on the edge of this vessel. I can come back in with anything that I've lost. I'm not overly worried about that. So paint that shape there. As it comes down, a different shape to the one I've given it. So we're going to change that just ever so slightly. But I'm using lots of taps of colour. This is a bit more sort of impressionistic look at the water, as opposed to trying to create every subtle little fusion of colours. I'm actually using colours next to each other, this little tappy motion, to suggest that there is that richness within the water. Going to that blue colour down here, I want to try and leave that if I can. I'm going to bring some of that through there to give that windy avenue of water that's flowing down. Making it rich in places. And that's a bit too strong. Get rid of that. Oh dear. Come on. Not to worry, let it go. I'm not too worried about it. I want to put some of these stronger orangey elements through here. And I'm going to take some all the way down here. There's going to be a lot of light coming in here in a moment or two, but not quite ready for it. Just going to put some of the outer ones in here, which are just glints. I've got to keep this in a straight and right line, because otherwise it's just going to go off on a tangent again, and I don't really want to do that. Bring it all the way through to the bottom there, and I can build on that right up to the end and tap some of these out. So I want this really early morning light, and that's what I think I'm trying to do. I think I'm getting it. I think we're on a winning path anyway, certainly. Right now, have I got to do anything here? Maybe just a bit. It's quite warm. Let's come back in with that. Again, same sort of method, just tapping in one or two of these other colours against those blues. Really just punctuate the blues, make them stand up and be counted, and for all they're worth, it really does work. Tapping and displacing some of these nice lines. We've got to put in the mast. I haven't forgotten that. Like so, I'm going to bring a little bit of water into some of these edges so it's not quite a straight line. And I've got a few masts to put in there. I just realised we'll do that. Not a problem. Now I want to come in with some stronger reds right on the edge of this reflection here. I'm going to bring that around. Alright, now I'm going to leave that there for a minute, and I'm going to use the rigger, clean that out, and not drop my brush in all the other paint. Times I do that. Another glug needed. Brooklyn, thank you for joining us. Yeah, cool. I'm glad you follow me on the railway, and this is my main channel. The trains are my escape, but this is my main channel. Nice of you to find me and come over and have a look. Right, I'm just going to put in a few reflections. They're quite red, quite warm. So I'm going to put them in quite strongly. That's nice. Now, I mean, I'll put a few more in than there are. I'm not worried about that at all. And put in a very, very warm dark value this time for a couple of these others that are coming down between some of these vessels. There's this one here. We're going to put that in, coming down, and I know it's not in the right place. I'm really not bothered by that. I really am not. I just like the picture as it's developing, and if I don't get something exactly where it should be, really it's not a big problem. Now this one is going to come towards me through here and down through here, all the way off the bottom of the canvas, influenced by water movement, so it's going to be misshapen. There's also a suggestion of a line. Now I've got to really develop this little boat, haven't I? I haven't actually done anything to that. So let us redraw some of the shape in, which I went over. So we're going to put that in up to there. It comes low and then over the back, like that, and then down there. Something like that. It's a little exaggerated at that point, but we can come back in. We come in with some phthalo, some burnt umber, and let's just shape this up now. Let's give it a dark accent through here. Look at the stern, look at the way it should look. Come down there. I'm really painting in the wrong brush again. Got to be said. A rigger is not the best because you come and put a big side swipe on it and a twist, and it'll deposit paint where you don't want it to. But not a big problem. If you're careful, you get away with it. Okay, put that there. And I think we got that line through there, but I can't quite see. It's not, I haven't put my boat in the same place as this one in the photo, so I can't actually put in the line that it needs. But that's not a big deal. Okay, there is a little bit of an lovely shape under here, which I don't want to lose that. This is my lovely reflection, a bit warm and a bit cool. Put some of that blue into the back end of it, like so. Take that out that way. I'm going to put some paint in here, and then I'm going to do the same as I did on some of these others. I'm going to just mess it up a little bit, giving that nice watery, maybe a little bit more warmth into that. Play around with that and just use a bit of finger painting. Just drag it down a little ways. It's got that lovely sort of dreamy morning feel to it. And again, it's a little diversion from the reality of the photo. But please, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I put a couple of little bits on this. There's a little bit on the back here. It comes over and it's dangling down into the water. I guess that's down to a little bit of rope into the water there and back up to the reflection of it there. Oil. Oil is what I'm using tonight, and oil as opposed to water soluble oil. Okay, now I could argue that that reflection is a tad too deep, so I can alter that by coming in like so. Just tap that away like so, and then just blend some of this through, and it's no longer as deep as it was. There you go. Right, let me just see where this needs to go in here now. I think I left it where I wanted to leave it, and I don't really feel the need to do too much or any more to it. I'm just going to change that shape a little bit. just reinforce, as I've shortened it, let's just reinforce that reflection of the mast from the other vessel. It is going up there, but it doesn't in mine. Alright, and there are one or two lot of dark swirls of colour. Now they're not going to be black. I think they just need to be little suggested scratchy marks coming through. And they're really just denoting debris and stuff that's coming in on the tide. Maybe it could be weed, it could be all sorts of things just being picked up by the current. It could be ebbing, it could be flowing. I have no idea. But I'm going to put a few in, and that gives you an indication that there is movement in the water. Like so. Doesn't want much. Taking this all the way through. I don't even know if I'm using the same picture as I first showed you, because oh no, I am. That's why I can't see it. Okay, there is a lot more blue in the bottom of this picture, and I actually haven't picked that up. So I'm actually not going to be worried too much about that. Or maybe I ought to. Maybe I should put some phthalo blues and cobalt together, and I might just wipe a little bit of this away to give me a fighting chance. That's because I had the picture on a semi sort of blown up bit, and I couldn't actually see what was happening. So I'm going to actually introduce, not that strongly, but introduce some subtle blues in here, like so, and that actually will pump up the whole thing. Putting this blue, I put some blue in through here, but this is actually a little stronger. This is a bit of a combination of white, phthalo and cobalt to give me this current flow in towards the buoy here and through the other side. The ribs of water, and it quite definitely comes through here, and that will work nicely if I get that tone right. And I'm going to take it off the other side. Just put one or two bits of blue in there, not too much. Don't think it really needs too much over here. Just one or two bits going off into there. Just looking at the painting overall. I really am enjoying this because it's allowing me to be a little more expressive than maybe I ordinarily would be. So I'm enjoying that process of defining colours and just giving that whole mood, I think. And I think it's working out quite well. Right, okay, so I need to put in a bit more ultramarine into it now. Just cool it down through the middle here. Just one or two taps in here. Don't want to overdo it, so I don't want to lose the power of some of these other elements. I wanted to suggest it's going through there. Okay, right, I'm not going to do too much to our buoy. Judy, good evening. You finally joined us. Right, now then. How are we doing? I only looked at the time. Hour and a quarter. Oh, we're not doing too bad. I thought that this would struggle for 2 hours. It may do. We may need to have an early evening or do some more work, maybe. I don't know. Just going to darken this colour up through here. It is very dark. I'm just going to tap that into some of the mud on the bank. Let that come down towards the water, and then I just want to put a few swirly marks this side of it so it looks like you've got a broken edge to the reflection, like so. And I can go in with some of the other colour to really push that home as well. And take that in. keep on. Shouldn't be using a rigger for all this wide work, but I keep saying that, don't I? I keep saying I shouldn't be using this brush for this bit, and I do. Never mind. Right. A bit cool, a little bit of Indian red, a little bit of phthalo blue. Nice combo. Just bring that up to the top here and take that back to the bank. And then we got our lovely reflections of our posts. I'm going to put one just about there. I know it's not in the same position with the buoy in its position, but I had to move that in because it was seated way too close to the bottom of the picture in the original, so we had to move that, or I had to move that to make it work. Bring that one this way, fracture it up a little bit and break up some of these edges. And there are one or two little bits and pieces. There is that mast there, we can just see that sort of coming down. One or two bits and pieces here. A little bit warmer now as it comes round this point. Up into there. And then I just got that point there, which sort of stops, maybe a little point there, but then this one comes out into the water. And right, now I've got to put a bit of an eddy around the edge of this, so I'm going to bring that in through there. Bit darker than that would be good. One or two taps through here, and suggesting that the bank is a little bit more, bits more light popping through here. As I mean, at this point the river's bending, so the light is losing its power and becoming a little bit more of sort of blues and cooler colours. I'm just going to bring that in like so, just scratching around with the brush, tapping it, dabbing it, trying to give you the idea, picking up little bits of more colour. Don't want to overdo it either. It's a little bit too heavy. I'll take that off with my finger and just come back in with a little bit of blues just to underpin that area coming down there. That's fine, and then just bring those marks back in where you feel you need them. So you don't want to do too much, not kill this corner off totally, just enough to make it do the job you want it to do. And then just bring this way a little bit. And hear that rain starting now. Just bring that down like so. Alright, that's cool. And let's just check this reflection. A little bit cooler than the lights in other areas. So we're going to bring that in like so. And just warm it up on this lead edge. Just ever so much. A little bit of Venetian red in there should just do that. Just warm that up there. And I'm going to give that top as it leans towards the sun, just ever so much a little glaze of orange. It's predominantly rusty anyway, but just give that a little tap of light, make it more spherical than I had it. It's not a black lump. Got a bit of life in it. Okay, so where are we? Not bad, not bad. I'm not touting my pipe in my own cord. I'm saying not bad in terms of time and everything else. I'm going to clean this brush out, have a quick glug, look at the thing. Right, let's just get some of these lights in, some lemony yellows and a little bit of fine detail to make it move a bit. Lots of white, keep it lovely and fresh, and just tap in one or two areas here that are suggesting it's coming down through the middle here. Maybe a little punch of lemon more in some of these. I'm bringing some of that lemon up into the base of this light. I love this lemon. Look at how that really is just really making that glow. Come back to the white. Big lump of white laying on the end of my brush there, I didn't realise. Still there. Go on, get out of it. Make that work. I'm just going to tap in now some of these lovely yellows as we come down. They're quite orangey in there. I'm going to see how we can make that work. I'm going to put in some nice bright lights in here, just popping through this little lower section. And actually I want to put in some warmer ones first. I'm going to come in with some of that lovely reddy orange colour to start with. So I'm going to tap in some of those. And then up in here there's an awful lot of bright oranges and yellows. Okay. Some definite taps of colour in here, so a lot of movement of the water. I'm sort of putting some one way, almost zigzagging some of the marks. Not definitely, I'm not trying to create patterns. As I said, 1, 2, just right to the bottom. And they stop, so I'm going to drag some of that off up there, so I need to change the colour, come back into some of this around here, just kind of lose some of that. It loses out to the water movement, I think, through there. Maybe a little tap into the reds back in. And then come back in with some orangey lights just into there, and then finally just 1 or 2 bright ones just to finish that off. Okay. Now I know there are lines of debris running through there, but I don't think they make or break the picture if they're there or not. So I'm not going to really do anything to it. What I'm going to do though is I'm just going to suggest some of these warm values just coming in a little bit more in one or two places on the riverbank. So break out and like a little bit of line of water coming in and just breaking up that line of dark, as it were. And I drag some out, not a big deal, take some of that away, it doesn't have to be that strong. Just gives a sense of water movement. Okay. Alright, now it's a dotting I's and crossing T's situation. We have this beautiful glow, we have this lovely morning light happening. I'm just seeing where I need to play around with bits and pieces before we finish off. And it is just little decisions, little bits that make or break and finish off the work. Right. I'm just having a quick look at it while I have a drink and check the thing. That's alright, so just checking it over. I think that I need to bring a little dark back in to the riverbank on this back side. It's got a little bit too light in some of the foreshore, so I want to bring some dark back in here. A little bit of green into that as well will not hurt. Just to take that away a little bit. Got a little bit too much into this area. I'm just going to take that down. You can't quite see where one bit starts and stops, and that's really what it should be like. And ever so slightly bluish, lightish colours on the edge of the mud. Let's give that a bit more light. So 1 minute I go light, next minute I go dark. I'm never quite sure where I want to go with that. I think I'll live with it as it is there. That's fine. And as I say, this wanted to get a bit darker down in here. I'm going to come in with some darks. And then there is just an ever such a light bluish line around here. Not all the way down, just as it's coming out from the light, it's just picking up a little bit of light on the edge of the water, on the edge of the mud. That sort of just finishes that look off. Actually, you can take some of that out to meet some of these warmer ones in the water. You've got movement all the way down this thing then. I think that works. Let's mess some of this up. Taps. It's just little taps of the brush. No, I'm not trying to draw mud. I'm not trying to draw anything. Just little taps, just suggesting how the mud goes off and into nothingness. Do I need to do anything on this side? I'm pretty sure there's some things I could do, but I'm just going to put in a little bit of dampness along the edge of the shore here, suggesting that there is wet mud, as it were, right along through here. Not quite sure what goes on at that point, but I hopefully done enough to make that little area convincing. Maybe just stick a little dark post or something in there, just as a something there, maybe something sticking out here. I don't know, something like that works for me. Now then, have I missed anything? Ben, have I missed anything, sir? How do you feel about the misty blue colour on the very distant hill? Love it. You talking about there, Ben? No, it's a lovely blue colour. It's much bluer than the photograph, but that really was quite by intent. I'm quite happy with that. It is influenced by the photography, so I've actually improved some of the blues throughout the picture, so it's not a problem. Good call. But no, I'm quite happy with the way that looks. I'm just looking at this sun one more time before I finish. And I'm thinking that I just want to touch it a little bit more. A little bit of haze that way. There's lovely little coronas that are spinning off from the sun, which I actually haven't done. No, I'm quite chuffed with that. That's my castle. You got me thinking now, Ben. You do this. No, I'm not going to do too much to that. I'm just going to maybe influence a little bit here, a bit more, but I don't really want to take that blue off. Quite happy with that in a sense that it is quite greenish here. That needs covering in a little bit. It's gone a little bit lost. Just a little scumble over the top of some of that, just up near the sun here, just to influence it a little bit more. Because as I'm looking into the deeper one, there's also sort of like reds running through here. Ever so subtle, you almost miss them. A little bit up through here, maybe on the, almost on the side of that. Yeah, I'm going to leave it like that. No, it shouldn't, Keith. My son is smaller. Now, it could be bigger, but it's not going to be. Again, you've got lens flare. The intensity of that sun coming up will affect what the camera sees, and I don't really want to make it bigger. Maybe a little taller, though. Thinking at it, looking at it. I'm going to switch off in a minute. Yeah, you're right, Wendy. I should stop fiddling. I get to this point. But, you know what these lads are like? They keep me at it. They keep me going. Right, I'm going to come in with a bit of lemon now. Just around the top of this. Oh, dirty fingers. Do it all the time, don't I? Now I'm fiddling, and now I've got to stop. Once I repair this little bit. Good job we're not in class, Keith. You'd not get a rough time on Wednesday, mate. But in a way, it's all good because I'm seeing lovely subtle colours in here that I'm just, is influencing the brush. So it's actually not been a bad idea to do what I've just done. The more you look, the more you see, the more you try it, and the more you understand. But on that note, I'm done. I'm done. Keith, tall is what I meant. Comparing the skyline to the top of the sun, Keith, just getting my own back. Yeah. Just wait until lockdown's out, mate. Just wait till lockdown's out. We'll see who gets one's own back. Okay, right. I'm going to put a signature down in this corner. and call it a day. I've had fun. I've enjoyed this one. It's allowed me, as I said just now, to be quite expressive. That's good. What days do you stream? Well, I stream on a Monday evening, Brooklyn, on tonight, as I say, every Monday evening at 7. My patrons on my Patreon channel get an extra stream on Fridays. So that may interest you to become a patron. I don't know. I have no idea sort of in that area what you'd like to do. But we have many tiers and lots of people come on board with that. As I say, you get lots of films extra and above everything that I put on a Friday. Okay, let me... Monday night I stream 7 o'clock. Friday on YouTube I put a new video out every Friday about 3:30. And then on a Friday evening my patrons get an extra stream, and there's about 60 of videos which is being added to all the time on my Patreon channel. So if that interests you, take a look at that, and for a small fee, a couple of cups of coffee a month, you get access to not only all those videos but a Facebook channel that is dedicated to all my patrons to share their work, and we talk about it, as well as an extra stream each Friday. So it might help you, I don't know, but you'd be very, very welcome. That's to be said. And I think there are probably 3 or 4 of my patrons watching this now, so if you want to know anything about it, ask Wendy, Judy, Teresa, Keith, and others. So it's always worth looking at. But yeah, it's all good. But there you go, people. Took 2 weeks to do, but I think it was worth doing. I've enjoyed this, and I hope you've got something from it. I don't know what I'm going to do next week. I think almost certainly next week it'll be a watercolour. I've done this for 2 weeks as an oil, so I'm going to do some watercolour next week, I think. See you next week, Glennis. Lovely to have you on board again. I'll leave this chat open for a little longer. As I say, don't forget, there is my Friday film, and I'm also vlogging. There's a couple of vlogs now on the channel that I don't know. I've just started doing those and see how they go. But yeah, take a look. If you like what you see, make a comment. They are done to invite comments from you, so if that's the case, then comment away. Thanks, Teresa. Cheers, Ben. Yeah, I'm really enjoying that, looking at that myself. It works. It's really quite a nice piece. I did one once of this scene, and I really never was ever happy with it. It was a demonstration, so it was never beyond a couple of hours work, but I was never ever satisfied with that piece. And this one, I have to say, is a whole new ball game. Completely satisfied with this one. Although I just see a couple of dirty marks that have come on. So I'm just going to try and tease them out before I go any further. Come on, guys. And a couple of scratchy marks that have come on. It may well have been me, something I've done. But I've got to ease those out. Change the tone just a little bit, and hopefully Bob's your uncle. They've gone. Ah, he says. It's all good. Love this pour. I dug out my old oils and bought a couple of canvases boards, and now feel inspired to give it a go. Great one. That's the idea. Get your canvases out, get your oils out, and next week it'll be a watercolour. Haha, gotcha. All right, people, thank you very much for joining me tonight, and yeah, I've enjoyed it, and this lockdown is giving me some good ideas for new films, so I will be doing that. And Brooklyn, thank you very much for joining. Hope to catch you again soon, and yeah, lovely to have you on board. That's great. Cheers, Jim. Take care, mate. Stay safe, and I hope the outcome goes your way. And yeah, just keep out of trouble. And to all of you watching, whatever side of the water and the pond you're on, stay safe in these troubled times. Nice bit of news tonight that we may well have a viable antidote to this, or you know, whatever they call it, in the offing from Pfizer. So we just keep our fingers crossed that that pans out after Christmas and that we can stay safe in the interim. So with all that said and done, take care, everybody, and I'll catch all of you very, very soon. Yeah, I'll do that. Not a problem, Wendy. Take care, everyone. Catch you all soon. Bye-bye. Good night, Ben. Well, soon you will be. I don't know what the heck you've done. Stop printing all those dollar bills, Teresa. That's probably what it is. All that money laundering you keep doing. I'm only joking. I'm only joking. I'm only joking. If anyone says anything. I was only joking. Only teasing. I've got to watch that actually, because sometimes if you say something wrong on a video, then they limit its monetization, which is awful. So I've got to be careful about that. Oh, I know what that is. Thought there's a funny mark on the painting then. I did, Judy. Thank you very much. You take great care now. Catch you soon. Stay fit, stay healthy. Bye-bye for now, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.